Hey guys, the section of violence here. Currently, I'm going through Bellator, so excuse me, the attention's not totally with you guys. But yeah, let's get through it. I'll make it quick for you because I know we have the fights on soon. So to start, I'm gonna not go in this order just because why not? Let's go in this order. So we got Dustin Peg versus Wade Johnson. Wade Johnson, 6 behind the jab. He's a bit of a timid soul, so he doesn't really like to be in those exchanges. Um. Yeah, I remember the fight with Trevor Olson. I was really pissed when he lost this fight. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I bet on Trevor on him to beat Yeah, I remember this. So he's beat Nathan Mitchell, if that means anything, in BKFC. And Nathan Mitchell is pretty bad. So kind of had a feeling he'd win. He's facing Dustin Peg here. It's definitely a jump up when it comes to BKFC. In MMA, I think you'd win easily, but BKFC, it's a little different. Um, he hits really hard. I think he's gonna be too much for Wade Johnson. I think he's gonna get another first or second round finish. Oh yeah, and I remember when he got DQ'd to Jake Young. That was fucking terrible. Anyways, Dustin Peg, I got him winning in first or second round. We got Dustin Long versus Jonathan Miller. Jonathan Miller had a nice debut, um, showing that power, dropping him with a check left hook or a jab, I think it was. Given Stephen Reese is not the greatest opponent, this is gonna be definitely a step up in competition. I do think Dustin Long is very dangerous, and I would take him if the odds were closer. But being 40 years old, never fighting in BKFC before, I'm gonna have to lean with Miller here. Being young, more dangerous. I think he has a harder head too, so I don't know. It's worth a shot at the odds. So I'm gonna take a sprinkle on the dog value here. But yeah, be careful with this one. Former boxer versus, you know, Gym Monkey, who is very tough. Moving on, we got. I don't know about Gym Monkey. He's big. He's a big guy, and he's a bit apish, like the way he swings. But he's very very good, like as far as power goes. So just forget what I just said. That was kind of nonsense what I just said. But yeah, just don't go on heavy with this fight. Just this is a note taking fight for me. Moving on. Samuel Samples versus Glendale Futrell. Futrell is a gamer. He's always going to be in there. I think he's been finished once, and that was by yeah, that was by he's been finished by Howard Davis and Brian Duran. So Samples could get him out of there. I mean, he took Alvarez to a decision, and Alvarez is pretty shit. So I'm gonna go with Samples here by finish in the third round or second. But it's gonna be an interesting one for sure. Moving on, we got Trucker Carson versus not Tim Hester. He's now facing Hamrick, LJ Hamrick. LJ Hamrick is a sacrificial lamb in my opinion. He's okay. He's definitely decent. He has the ability to win. It's not saying Trucker's a lock or anything, but I think this is a fight where Trucker's like kind of being given the win. He lost to uh, he lost to Riley, but I think the win to Cisse is a good win. I think he's gonna win this fight. Um, I like how he carries himself. I think he's very aggressive. Um, gonna be a fun one for sure. I got Carson, pretty confident too. Moving on, we got Andy Nguyen versus Sydney Smith. Sydney Smith is definitely new to BKFC. She's a mom, 0-1 in MMA, so she's very outmatched when it comes to experience. So I'm definitely gonna go with Nguyen. But Sydney, all she needs to do is land one punch, put a cut over in Andy's eye, and it's all over. Especially with how hittable Andy is. She moves her feet well, but she's just like her chin's so far up when she throws, and it's not the greatest sight. But anyways, I think Andy wins this unanimous decision, even potentially getting a finish. But yeah, it's gonna be an ugly fight. I do predict that, but I do predict Andy's gonna win this. I'm pretty confident in that. Moving on, we got John Bernard versus Joshua Mara. Now everyone's thinking, who's this John Bernard guy? Now I can give you a little bit of insight. He is a striker, and he has a wide array of strikes. I think he's very experienced. He hasn't fought in a while, so we think. That's what Tapology says. I looked at it back in his fight, and he's actually fought not too long ago. He has good striking. I think he has a superior striking when it comes to this. Josh Romero's tough. He definitely has a chance to win this fight, but I don't think he's going to win this fight. I'm on John Bernard, and I'm pretty confident here. Um, yeah, I got John Bernard, and I got him quite confidently here. I think Bernard's going to be too much for him. Especially, I got him by round one, too. Moving on. We had Cole Pharrell versus Cody Sheave. I got Pharrell here. I think it's quite self-explanatory. Cody Sheave is very, very bad. He's not the worst I've seen, but he's not good. Not good at all. I predict him to win. He could catch Pharrell, so you got to be careful about that. He did drop Samus, but I think he's just not good. And I think Pharrell is going to beat him up. I got Pharrell rounds 1 or round 2, and I don't think it's going to be very close. Part of my luck of the card right there. Moving on. We got Brandon Bouchard versus Rick Caruso. Brandon Bouchard, he's a very, very dangerous striker. Nice body work in the clinch. He's a little wild, though. He overextends on his punches a lot. I do think that Rick Caruso has the ability to make him pay. Um, and I do think the experience of Rick Caruso is going to be able to pay dividends in this fight. At such a big dog, I think I'm going to have to take that sprinkle on Caruso here. I don't see Bouchard being worth the price. He's 44, I think he is, and I just don't trust his durability. 41, and I just don't. I'm not gonna ride with Bouchard here. I'm gonna take the dog spot, and we're gonna see what happens. Moving on, we got Keith Richards versus what's his name? It's not this guy, that's for sure. Can't even remember the guy's name. All I know is Keith Richards should get him out of there. And I don't see this being fairly close. I think Keith Richards has the advantage with the experience in BKFC, the power, and the boxing skills. I just think Keith is going to be too much for him, and I think he's going to get him out of there. Moving on, we got too bad you can't bet on him though, because the bookies are terrible. They just won't update it. Moving on, we got Doug Coltrane taking on Blake Lacaz. Coltrane, I kind of like him to win, but at the same time, I'm a little more on the side of Lacaz here. Sure, she's not the most durable, but the boxing experience and the BKFC experience has to count for something. His reach is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to trust in a guy who's 6'7" and who's sticks behind a jab. I'm gonna have to trust in him, especially at that value. Worth a shot. I don't see Doug Coltrane being worth that value just yet, and I'm going to go with Lacaz here. Moving on, we have Tony Soto versus Tyler Goodjohn. This is a good fight. It's probably the fight of the night. Tyler Goodjohn is a very, very tough guy. I don't see him getting finished here, but I do think he's going to be a punching bag for Tony Soto. Because the one thing that whereas James Lilly was more of a sniper, I think Tony Loco is okay being in the pocket and he actually thrives in the pocket. So I do think this is going to be I think this fight tests Tony for sure. I do think Tony's going to win. I think Tony's going to be able to put on that put out the good output and win rounds and potentially even drop Tyler. I don't know. But I don't know. This is going to be a fun fight. I'm on Tony here. I think it's going to be a great card. Not the greatest as far as betting perspective, but it's going to be a fun one nonetheless. All right, guys. Hope this helps, and see you next time.